So friends, I soaked the leaf literally for 1 minute, put it on plexiglass, and then glued it with tape. The fact is that there will be a stage when we need the sheet to dry completely, and then we will, as it were, continue to write dry. That is, first we write wet, then we will write dry. And I'll say right away that if you have 200 grams, it doesn't mean that you can't write wet on it. I just had one comment. I noticed that they say I can only write dry because I have cheap paper. No, if the watercolor paper is 200 grams per meter, it is quite possible to do with it all the same things that you do with paper 300 grams per meter. It's okay, eh? Also, masterpieces are obtained perfectly on it. So, I additionally still wet the top with such a thick brush. And we have a unique picture here. We will not draw anything with you with a pencil. In other words, we will start painting right now. You know, I'll probably even continue to paint with this particular brush. I have squirrel number 11, but you know, don't be guided by numbers. I noticed that different companies have different numbers. We mix the blue. We take the paint thick enough. Blue, black. The picture is in front of your eyes. Now we are going to paint the sky. We do not pay attention to the stars yet. We imagine that they do not exist at all. And that's what we have there behind the stars. We write. I'm going to try it with this paint, this watercolor. But you know, by the way, I found one minus in this watercolor. So, and this is how it turns out. Well, maybe there's a lot of water, maybe a little bit, maybe I should have, and so friends, after all, I'm going to get it wet a little now. Maybe there was a lot of water. So, and let's take 2. We mix the blue paint. And, by the way, she said the Northern Lights. Maybe it's not called the Northern Lights. Maybe it's just a beautiful sky. Thickly, thickly. I need to take it now, quite tightly. Well, let's try it. We now need to make a beautiful sky with you. Here it is possible with just such prishlapami. Oh, I'm afraid blue is not enough for me. In general, what I have identified, so to speak, a moment in these colors. The fact is that right now I'm running out of blue, and if it runs out completely, then I won't be able, you know, how to buy a cuvette in the Nevsky palette and put it there. In other words, it turns out that I need to buy this whole new palette. But we always have a consumption of paints of some much more than others. And all the time, it turns out every time, well, that is, here is such a moment. Here it should be tight, dense, such a straight, almost black color. If it's black, it's also good. So, you know, I'm going to take a little smaller brush after all. And here I made it black like this. Now I want to blur this edge a little bit. There you see, there is a kind of glow going diagonally. Here we need to make it. I have a brush now, so I wipe it, wash it, and then here, I sort of shade this edge, so to speak. You can take it somewhere here later, and also with a dry brush. So, I have a toilet paper here. I try to do everything quickly. Well, quickly it's me to you, as it were. You can stop the video. You don't have to do it fast. Yes, you do it in your own mode. Well, here's the sky right here. You know, right? It should be such straight spots. I want to mix this slightly purple now. For this I add red to this puddle of mine. Yes, I may have to take out my navy palette now. I feel like I have almost no blue left. So, I'm randomly making specks now. Not in one place. In other words, we need to have this kind of vagueness. You know, friends, if you move away from the picture somewhere, there is nothing terrible at all. Absolutely. In other words, we should not get exactly the same. In general, there is not even such a goal. You always try to do better than in the picture. So, all right, let's move on. I'm mixing some color here again. That is, you leave a little bit of this white one. We mix a little. We mix the paint. We mix. We take it quite thickly, but maybe here it's a little bit light blue. Yes, shades, but we can completely blur it all later. Don't forget about it somewhere. If you don't like it, it's okay. We'll wash it all out later. So, as much as possible, I try to make something of my color. And notice, here in this part, there is no longer such blackness as here. That is, here we are now gradually going to leave, as if to doubleau. So, well, there's less and less here. Color, brightness as it were, decreases. I'm already taking a little bit here with some water, and these kind of flip-flops bail. There's nothing here, you know. You don't need to stretch anything. Everything is very simple in this regard. So, I'll wash a little here right away. That's how we move all the time. Somewhere you can leave a completely white spot. There are such places there. Now I'm taking it off, friends. I'm wiping, yes, a brush. Again, a little bit where I need to shoot. I'm taking pictures. Here I'm taking a picture. There is already such a direct creativity. You know, you can even not look at the picture at all. That's how, as your heart tells you, so do it. So, let me be here a little bit. You need to do this. If it seems that there is too much light here, then we just take it all again and darken it. So, well, here's a beautiful pink one. Be sure not to miss it. So, beautiful pink. Beautiful pink. We enter it, do not forget about it. It can be even more than in the picture of pink. If you want more, then please do not deny yourself anything. So, here you can do a little like this. So, well, I still want pink, to be honest. Everything is floating, floating. Let it float normally. That's the way it should be. You know, this job can't fail. All of you will get great jobs. I'm sure of it. So, the fact that the sky can be any, and no matter how you do it, the sky can be anything. The more chaotic there is, as it were, in your movements, the more, so much the better. So, I want to add a little purple after all. With such brushstrokes, chaotically, gradually, slowly, we draw this beautiful sky. To some extent, your work now at this stage should be similar to the palette. Well, here we are already so much sky, of course, do not blacken. To the bottom, it should now gradually brighten up with us. Gradually, we will highlight it with you to the bottom. Because we still have to draw Christmas trees later, and these Christmas trees should not merge with the sky. Therefore, now we will calm down a little, so to speak. And look, here in this land, do you see what kind of light there is? So we need to come to the same light later in general. And in this region too, it is quite bright.
The shades are light.
We continue with the same dotting. So, then we continue to highlight to the bottom. But you don't need to do a straight stretch. You can also slowly make the sky lighter and lighter with such circular movements. You can write right down to the bottom. Nothing complicated. Elementary movement, elementary friends.
So, well, perhaps.
Perhaps this is the sky I got. So friends, well, that's it for now. In other words, we made such a good substrate. Now we need to wait until the paper is completely dry. It's important, before the paper dries completely, please stop the video, wait, and then, when it dries, we will continue with you. So friends, well, everything has dried up for me. You know, when I dried up, I looked at it a little more, and decided to add a little more dark in this corner. Don't forget, I remind you again, that watercolors become paler when dried by about 30%. I think that this watercolor, of course, is no exception. So, now we need a white gouache and a toothbrush. Let's go. in general. I hope you can see well. Okay, but I'm actually a little scared. I haven't done this in a very long time. Let's try it first. Very well. I tried it on the palette. Now let's try something completely. In general, we need to make these stars now. Naturally, we are not just their bail, but us. In general, it's necessary to get used to it, friends. And notice, somewhere there will be big drops dripping. Somewhere small, this is normal. That is, everything should be like this. Oops. No, that's too much. But it's my fault. Here I am, of course. Oh ho ho. So, now we're going to save. You see, what a nightmare. What a nightmare. In general, we will make one here too. Like it was meant to be. Well, of course you can take it all with paint. In general, there are no unsolvable situations, as you can see. So now, as if I don't have it dripping again. In fact, I just realized that I have a very soft pile toothbrush. This is such a children's toothbrush. I now realized that it would be necessary to take it straight harder. Just harder. Here are very small droplets I have, but I want them to be bigger. So well, that's it already. The soul flew into the fields. But I can't say anything here, you're just training, you see. And such a starry sky, but what to do? Well, let it be, you know. These little dashes are like saying shooting stars. Here it is, you know. Sometimes you just need to come up with the right name correctly. So well, as you can see, here is a little to the right of the center, a little to the right, and above we have such a star. A star. We are also going to try to draw it now. By the way, you cannot do this if you do not want this star. It may well not be, because in general, the sky that already exists now, it is already quite so, in general, saturated. But you know, I think it's not superfluous there either. You can do it. I take a synthetic brush. You know, I'm going to do it with gouache now, but in principle, when you make thin lines, and you need a thin brush in watercolor, a synthetic brush for watercolor is quite suitable for yourself. This, by the way, is my not so long ago discovery. Not so long ago, I came to this, that it turns out that it is possible to write in watercolors and synthetics here, but this applies specifically to thin brushes. I have the second number here. Unfortunately, there are no ones. I would love a single one. You know, choose some dark spot in order to draw a star. Here it is somewhere here in the picture, but I'm going to draw it here. I have a darker spot here, because your star will be better visible on a dark spot. So, I wipe the brush, and I want more tips slightly like this. You know how to say, stretch it even more, and nullify it neatly, so that somehow what she is nay is now. Well, some kind of, I don't know. Here, by the way, we stretch the tips, and immediately, it turns out more like reality. I'm going to blend a little more here. There is no paint on the brush. I remind you, there is no paint, just a little wet. I shade the asterisk a little. I shade it in the center. Well, in general, how is it? Here, take a close look at the picture. How is it there? So there's another star somewhere below, but I'll probably make it here. Probably. It's better not to make rays of the same length, but you know how. By the way, you can make more than 2 stars, but in general, of course, it's probably better not to overdo it either with these large stars. Friends, this completes our stage. We're going to move on to the Christmas trees now. Here, conditionally, we will divide them into two stages of these Christmas trees, into 2 types of Christmas trees. The ones we have further away, they are in such a kind of fog. Let me remind you again, everything is dry, everything is dried up. Well, there are some droplets here, but since gouache, it's already on its own, as it were. Well, not so spreading. That is, I think it's because it dried up. And now, we are going to make Christmas trees, which we have in the first row. You know, if you are afraid to draw a Christmas tree, then just try it first on a piece of paper somewhere on a separate one. How would I put it? On a separate piece of paper. Here you draw the tip first. It's very simple to draw the top, and then, you know, we draw this accordion literally like this. This accordion goes, and then we expand it a little. This accordion increases. It may not go straight like a cone, right? There may be gaps like this somewhere. Yes, and then I draw again. 1, 1. Here you can practice. But the main thing is this sharp tip. Let's do it again. It's just that the sheet is on the weight. I'm sorry, it's not so convenient to draw on the weight. So we drew a stick, a tip, and then we start with these lines, tuk 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 tuk, and lead down. But this is the most primitive. They are certainly more realistic there, but even if you learn how to draw such a Christmas tree, here specifically for this work, it will fit perfectly with you, and will look great. And we went down. Somewhere there is a gap, somewhere like that. In general, such Christmas trees. Well, again, do not judge yourself strictly. Let everything happen, let everything be. Relax and have fun. So, well, it's kind of like that. Not too dark. You get it right. That is, let's try it. I'm really worried too. It is very important that they are on. They shouldn't be like a fence in one line, right? But I think you understand, both by this height and by the cleanliness of the location, right? Somewhere 2 Christmas trees are close. Somewhere 1 Christmas tree was painted a little further. I said I would make them harder, but I feel I won't make them harder just. I just take it like this, and draw such children's little Christmas trees, and everything is fine. You finish painting them, they're a little bit like this, you know. I don't do that with their crowns up in the picture. Well, maybe now. And the second row. Make sure that you have these Christmas trees already dry. And we take the second row with pure black paint. Look, I'm leaving a little bit, yes, gaps between the branches, holes somewhere. It's important to leave these holes. It seems like it's simple, and it's really simple, but for some reason, I'm very often newbies, they either think or get distracted, or they want to improve their work. You know, the most important thing is to stop in time, and in general, try to leave holes so that you have one thing shining through the other. That is, here I am drawing a Christmas tree, but I have the tree that is behind it. I can see her. It's translucent.